The year is 2025. It's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, and you're just waking up from a slightly restless sleep. Just as the sunshine moves across your face, you take a moment. Memories begin to flash back in your mind for just an instant, and you think to yourself, is this really where you want to be? Are you still having fun? After all, you have friends in the 18th century that ride horses across glistening horizons. Your friends in the 23rd seem to be having a blast in the cold expanse of the asteroid belt. And let's not even mention your friends that picked ancient Rome to walk the shores of the Mediterranean in the sunshine. Why then did you choose the early 21st century? What are you here for? You suppose that you wanted to see where it all began. Where it all truly began, that is. Yeah, best to stick it out. The birth of modern history is, after all, an important era to witness at least once. Let's think back through this. As you wake up, you estimate the civilization's been going for at least 10,000 years now. Getting going in fits and starts, we've seen waves of humanity grow and develop rich cultures across the world. Countless times, we've built up huge pools of knowledge, incredible stories, legends, and achievements. But passing them down between generations has always been hard. At worst, things are destroyed or forgotten. At best, only parts of our history are recorded and remembered. And time again, our old hubris returns to greet us as we forget the lessons that were learned by our predecessors. But all that began to change in the 20th century, didn't it? Those primitive boxes that our ancestors called computers got very quick and far better at recording information. It didn't take long, only a few decades, and suddenly writing, media, science and recordings of culture could be preserved far more quickly and could be copied almost effortlessly. As we entered the 21st century, more and more of the population had access to more and more of our collective story each year. Perhaps we'd never had it so good, but it still wasn't enough, was it? Sure, information could move far more quickly and could very easily cross many types of new borders. But were our data centers that different from ancient libraries? After all, hard drives could still degrade, all stores of knowledge could be forgotten or deleted. In the context of a million years, saving a few MP4s might help save an idea of who we were, but we still might forget the meaning behind those videos. Our tech was amazing, but the bridges we built were still hard to cross for some. We had never before been so close to each other, but there was still a huge chasm of uncertainty between each of us. Then, very slowly, our information began to come alive. You're not sure if anyone realized at the time. Certainly there were those that thought they knew what was going on. Those that looked for more intelligent ways to sell goods and services to each other. Those that looked to influence or manipulate. Those that looked to teach and share. For better or for worse, it was all a part of who we were, our many kindnesses, our many strengths, our many weaknesses. But did each of them really understand where all this tech might go, given enough time? Perhaps it was one of those things that became more obvious in hindsight. Your early ancestors called it many things. The internet, the metaverse, the inner world, but those were just words. What was born in that time was a way to build a culture that could span 1 million generations and counting. A way to live that could bypass the scarcity that limited our beautiful, but so very finite Earth. A way to connect people between distances that would previously have taken a lifetime to cross. In the early days, we had box computers, then phones, then headsets and primitive neural interfaces. But what truly changed was the way our story was shared between people, alive or yet to be born. Our world was never just truly physical, was it? Not since the first story was passed down from parent to child in the distant haze of our early evolution. The information that we created throughout history was like a companion that would walk with us throughout life, would whisper to us through the fog as we stumbled our way through existence. But with the birth of the Metaverse, that fog slowly lifted, and we could see more clearly that the ancient companion wasn't something else. It was just us. You thought back to the early Metaverse prototypes. Glossy presentations of new ways to consume media, new ways to socialize, ambitious ways to share information across barriers that couldn't be crossed in the physical world, better ways to teach and learn. It must have been like watching early humanity develop language. But what they got right hasn't changed since it was first envisioned. And if only they could have known what those early worlds would have evolved into. As time passed and we began to truly understand our own minds, those worlds evolved into homes. Many chose to live as fully digital beings. Many more chose to root themselves to our cradle world. Most chose a mixture of both in those early days. But regardless, we now had a way to capture our stories more clearly, to inhabit them if we wanted to know them better, and to learn from them as we pushed forward through time. In fact, over time, as we learned how to slow the aging process of our bodies, we could live many different lives and be many different people. Throughout all the challenges and complexities of living in an entropic universe, we could take our story with us as long as those kernels of data now stored all around us in every corner of our civilization could endure. You reflected perhaps that there was a lesson in experiencing this piece of history for yourself. In those early days, we learned how to truly examine ourselves, and with time, how to choose paths that would help us to confront that honest, raw reflection with pride. All of these thoughts occurred to you in the space between just 2 heartbeats. The year is, once again, 2025. It's a Tuesday. You are once again an accountant living in Montreal, and your boss is going to be frustrated if you don't get out of bed and rush off to work soon. Wouldn't it be just great if your boss let more people work from home flexibly? Later today, you're meeting some friends online to try out a new VR MMORPG that just released. Soon enough, it's going to be 2045, and your oldest child will graduate digitally, having just learned physics from dozens of the best minds on the planet. Shortly after, it'll be 2080, and you'll watch the sunset from your garden as you drift peacefully off to sleep and towards a long, well-deserved rest. And then you wake up. The year is, well, it's difficult to count using our old numerical system. Your orbital has just completed 3 rotations around its star, and your local group has just completed its rest cycle. In that time, you lived 7 lives throughout human history, and 3 in worlds that were never known to have existed. The lines between physical and digital, between universe and metaverse, have long since blurred past importance. Far from retreating into a world of fantasy to pass the time, you instead use humanity's long accomplished history to learn and grow. You plan for projects that take millions of years, and you've seen perhaps 1 billion years of proof that openness and kindness is more sustainable than greed. You muse that even after so much time, the universe holds many incredible secrets, and along with your friends and family, you decide to set your mind to them. As you turn your gaze to the stars, you reflect back one last time on the year 2025, onto a question that would inspire discourse and argument for a generation. What is the metaverse? What will it mean for humanity? You can't help but smile to yourself, just a little. The metaverse is, simply put, us. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, I have a small request to make. I think this video might possibly be the exact opposite of what the YouTube algorithm is trying to look for these days. So if you would be willing to like, comment, subscribe, even share it with someone that you think might like it, that would mean a huge deal to me. Yeah, this one was slightly different from what I usually do on this channel. A bit more narrative focused, but I just felt like experimenting, having a bit of fun, and I only really had a couple of Saturdays to make it. So I think the next one will probably be about how I pulled this together quite quickly, drawing on other assets, work I've done before, pulling it all together in a couple of Saturday mornings. And yeah, it should be quite an enjoyable one. But anyway, in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.